Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. I'm Psychic Medium Ray. In today's reading, we're going to be doing a reading on the Pope that just passed, and we're going to see what's coming up for the Catholic Church, and in general for the world, because you have to understand this: the Pope, the Vatican, have always had a strong impact on the world. It was back in the olden times. The church was the main taxation and the main, you know, primary power, and over the years, over centuries, the power, there's been a lot of scandal, a lot of accusations, a lot of truth behind the scandals, a lot of hidden secrets, a lot of people within, cardinals, bishops within the organization that have hurt children, etc. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but if you know, you know. But we're going to see what was surrounding uh, the Pope's passing. I felt that he did the Easter service, but somehow when that was broadcasted, it just seemed so strange that he died, a few hours or a few days later. Um, so, there's a lot about perspective here coming out about sacrifice, letting go. I feel like he definitely had some sickness, some illness. I think it was his time. When it's your time, it's your time. We can't stop that. But I do feel the Page of Wands almost like, as much I know this sounds sad and this sounds horrible to say, I feel like people that are in line to become the next pope are, you know, kind of excited. Now, I know that there's been a lot of speculation that this pope that passed was the last pope. There would not be another pope, but I do feel like there is going to be another pope, and I feel like um, there's a lot of security here, a lot of, financial contributions. You have to understand the Vatican, the Pope, that whole organization, they're billionaires or millionaires. Like they have tons of money in that church, in that field. The Eight of Coins look more about craftsmanship, hard work. There's going to be a lot of changes in the way that they approach things for the most part when it comes to the Vatican, but I feel like there's going to continue to be major scandals. And there's going to be some secrets of this current Pope that are unveiled or released. The Three of Cups about celebration and party. So, like, I do feel like this passing, even though, yes, it was very hard for the world to see and witness, Um, sorry. I do feel like there's a reason of why everything has happened the way it has. So, let's see. Yeah, the King of Swords. So there's a lot of the person that comes in. I feel like might be someone who is very different in their style of being a pope. I don't know how you would describe that, but like their belief systems, or might be just a little bit different, um, a little bit more like it goes against the common you know uh, principles, or like the rules that are set up for the church. And I see the Chariot card, so there's a lot of movement forward. They're definitely moving forward with getting another person. Um, I see the Four of Coins, so again, there is this possessiveness, selfishness, this feeling of like within the church itself, there's a lot of goals and things that they want to do. I have to understand a lot of the seminaries that come into the Vatican, etc. There's a lot of things that people don't know. Like they have a school of exorcism, they have the catacombs underneath the Vatican. There's a lot of hidden scrolls that will never probably be released to the public. And I've said this before, unveiling, unleashing the truth behind Jesus and his bloodline. I'm a big firm believer, and I've said this before, that his bloodline continued; it never ended. So a lot of that movie that was put out there, I can't remember what the name of it was, but that was put out there a long time ago about the secrets of Mary Magdalene and Jesus Christ. I feel There's a lot of accuracy to that. I know that goes against, it might be even considered blasphemy saying that, but you have to understand the Bible was written, the doctrine was written over and over by, you know, tons of people and translated, and it was used as a method of controlling the people, controlling, you know, humanity. And so, yeah, look, the Eight of Cups. So there's this feeling of like secrecy, things are being unveiled, but you having to move on, move on from the past. So I think as time progresses, there's going to be a lot more of things, like I said, revealed around the church, scandals, people coming forward. There's going to be more accusations. There's going to be a lot more uncovering. People consider witches or psychics evil, but um, sorry, I'm keep moving the camera, just trying to get the best angle. When you think about the sacraments, that you have to drink the blood of Christ and the body of Christ, that's kind of dark. That's very like, you don't see that in other religions, You might, but not like in Catholicism. And that's why I decided to get away from the church. Although I do firmly believe in God and Mary and Jesus and all these ascended masters and angels and demons, and I do believe the devil exists as well. I do not hold core to the condemnation or abominations and stuff that the Bible speaks of, because I do feel there's a lot of lies centered around that. And I've never felt a connection to that part of the Bible, those parts of the Bible. And I do feel like people are going to need to be patient, but I do feel the way the direction that the church is going, again, there's this feeling of like, um, they're pushing an agenda. They don't want the LGBTQ community to be happy. And again, they're not going to say a lot, but I do feel the Four of Wands, like you see a man and a female there. So it's almost like there's a union here of light and dark within the church. How I can describe this is like there are forces of darkness that have infiltrated the church. And so, a friend of ours, of my mom and I, when I was younger, he always said, "Why do you go to church? Don't you know that the devil carries a Bible to church?" And that never really hit until now, as an adult. And I think about how evil can still parade with, a cross, a crucifix, or a Bible, and stand there and give a sermon or service and give communion, and they still have darkness, in them. They're part of the dark. I feel like there's going to be a lot of people within the church that have an objection to the person that's going to be coming into power as the next pope. And I definitely feel like the Three of Wands, there's going to be a lot of, like I said, expansion, growth, a lot of almost like the church trying to become, again, a superpower like it once was. And I do feel at some point, um, you know, at some point, it's almost like, and I know this sounds crazy, but again, this might be like years out in the making. I see a female becoming either pope or like having a power in that. Now, remember, primarily, it's always been men since the beginning of time. But I do feel in the future, the church is going to go into a different direction, and it could be that there is a female pope at some point. Whether or not that ever happens, we have to remain and see it. But I do feel with the Knight of Cups, there's a lot of discrimination if you think about it in the church. They want to keep it as a man, always in there. And the Ten of Swords, again, there's a lot of backstabbing. The people that are in these positions, a lot of the bishops, cardinals that have been sworn in, they are scared sometimes to speak up because, I hate to say it, but like it is a big crime organization and people are eliminated. And that's all I will say. Even if you think it's religious, people are eliminated. And I feel like there's a lot of people that their mouths are zipped. They don't want to say anything because of fear. And then the Fool card is like, this is a feeling of like wanting freedom, wanting to get away from the church, wanting to get away from all of this. Um, a lot of people have died under their care for exorcisms and stuff. Not that these people were not truly possessed, but a lot of times they take it to the next level, just like you see in the movies. There's a lot of truth in what we see in Hollywood in the movies. That is, it's kind of like being shown before your eyes. But people think it's just a horror movie. It's fiction. It's not. when you're talking about movies of possession and things of that nature, you're going to see that. And then the Ten of Wands, burden, struggling. There's a lot. This Pope that comes into power is going to have a lot of challenges ahead of him. There's some big shoes to fill, but obviously there's going to be a lot of scandals. And I feel like they have, even though they condemn psychics and whatnot, there's children, just like in the Bible, the children of Fatima. There are children that the church is using as psychics. Like they can see, they have prophetic visions, and they've told the popes this, and it's been documented, and the bishops. And then I get the Four of Cups. So again, it's about being apathetic, disillusionment. There's a lot of a stagnation in the church, and I feel like it's being purified. I think that in time, the I don't know like how the legalities work of the Pope, like the election system here in the USA. You can only serve a certain amount of terms, but I feel like there's going to be age limits and restrictions in the future for popes as well. So, for the Vatican, for people who serve in these positions and powers. But there's a lot of drama that's going to take place within that. And I just feel like the church kind of knows like um, things have to change, but they want to still stay in antiquated thoughts and belief systems that have been disproven over time, not to be true. And it's almost like there's a big fear of the church not having its power and like being discredited or not taken seriously because the things that have been, told in the Bible and things like that, a lot of that has not come to pass. A lot of it has, in some ways, you could say, if you analyze it, but a lot of it also is, it has not, And then the magician card, it's almost like it's all parlor tricks for them. It's all about resourcefulness. There's this holy, kind of holy, mm, power that they hold up, you know. But behind that, like I said, there's a lot of darkness and secrets and whatnot. And I think that also the the halls of the Vatican, the grounds are very haunted. When I tune into the Vatican itself, I see a lot of dead souls trapped earthbound and walking and roaming the Vaticans. I would love to do like a tour of it one day and just like document on camera everything that I'm picking up. But there's so many souls that are wandering, that are there, that are haunting. I would not feel comfortable even sleeping in the Vatican or near in that area where it's stationed in Italy, I believe. I feel like it would be very, very hard for a medium to be in that environment around that energy. But again, with all due respect, I do wish, the Vatican, the Catholic Church, all the best. I'm not here to discredit anyone, but rather to spill the tea from spirit, as only they know, the souls that we connect with, they know the truth, and the Vatican knows the truth too. But yeah. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in. Also, all of my readings are 50% off right now. And also, I have May 7th, I have 10 slots. Well, now 8 slots left. I have 15-minute Zoom for $50. So if you want to get it, I'm reading only that day, 10 people. And again, I only have 8 slots left. So they're going to be booking in pretty quickly. If you are interested in booking one, go to my website, www.raymondguzman.net/readings. I love you guys. Until next time. Bye.